recorded great. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hold Up, the show where we dive deep inside your childhood nostalgia, pull the movies from the past out to see if they truly hold up. And today, we are dying another November. Well, at least, I guess it's just me and Kyle dying another November because Andrew can't be here today.
Andrew needs to get his flying situations figured out. It is totally within his power to avoid major cancellations and delays with the airlines that he chooses. And him choosing to not be here because of those things is him choosing to be a failure. So
we're hoping you're having a great vacation, Andrew, is what we're trying to say. Work out your airline situation a little bit better.
Why don't you just stay home all the time? And that'll do it. I don't understand what the problem is. So,
Well, Kyle, it's a big month for us. We just wrapped up spooky season, and now it's your month. We're talking James Bond all month long.
We're talking the hottest cock of them all, James Bond, baby.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. We have some great movies that we're going to review with Andrew in the coming weeks, but right now I kind of want to sit down and talk with you about James Bond. You're a big James Bond fan. I didn't really grow up with James Bond like you did, so I kind of want you to shed some light on why this series means so much to you.
So this is one of the first movies that I remember renting, and we rented Tomorrow Never Dies, which was Pierce Brosnan's second entry into the James Bond franchise, and it's to this day still one of my favorite James Bonds. I think it hits on all the right levels. Cinematography is pretty good. It's definitely one of the more, I would say it's not totally unbelievable. So one of the more believable James Bonds, not like Die Another Day, which was not so believable, or most of the Sir Roger Moore, which are not good. And it is quite, I think it's my favorite Pierce Brosnan movie. GoldenEye is great. It's a good one. This was made 2 years after that. I love the motorcycle chase scene is amazing in it. There's another car chase scene that happens that he's in the BMW for. And that just was, oof, that was it. I remember thinking like the coolest thing was when they had like the arsenal that popped out of the wall. There's Q in that movie. There's so many different aspects of it that just hit in all the right levels for a James Bond movie. And it wasn't overstated. Again, like some of the other entries are a little hard to believe up until we get to Daniel Craig or, just after Sean Connery. Like most of Sir Roger Moore's are pretty tough. Some of Sean Connery's are a little tough as well. But, there are some good ones. And I do think that's a good Pierce Brosnan one for my part. So I've watched all of them. Every single James Bond that's come out, I've seen all of them. And they're all worth a watch if you enjoy older movies, especially the Sean Connery ones are from the 60s. So that was a long time ago, R.I.P. Yeah. And Sean Connery ruled the 60s up into the early 70s. And then it was Roger Moore, who was up until the mid 80s, with his last film being A View to a Kill, it's tough. So is Octopussy. It's also a tough name, but these are like some of the most iconic James Bond movies of all time. I love Timothy Dalton. I thought he was a good James Bond. A lot of people hate him. I don't understand where the hate comes from. I like him. I thought he was good. And then you got Daniel Craig near the end. But I've seen all of them. And the ones we're going to start off with, we're doing a little good, we're doing a little bad. So I believe, Chase, are we doing GoldenEye first is what we've decided?
Yes, GoldenEye will be coming your way next week with Andrew. But my quick question too for you is: this franchise goes all the way back to the 60s, right? Or even does it even go even earlier than that, or is it just 60s?
It was a novel written by Ian Fleming,
right?
And also Roald Dahl took a stab at some of them too, by the way. And the character himself is actually loosely based off of Roald Dahl, who wrote Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Boys Life, stuff like that. Like he was an actual officer for Her Majesty's Royal Service or Secret Service back in World War II. And he was actually a spy that he was used to infiltrate the Americans before the war started because they wanted to get a bellwether on where America was at, because America's always wishy-washy on world events. And we were becoming isolationist America again, or, for the first time really, or second time. And they wanted to get a bead on, what certain senators were thinking, what certain people in the government were thinking about the war and like their involvement. So he was tasked with going to essentially cozy up to all the senators' wives, generals' wives, and get to know them, if you know what I mean, and report back what he heard from Pillow Talk. And he did that for a number of years, and it got to the point where he was like, I'm he told one of his superiors, like, I'm tired of sleeping with women. I'm tired of doing it. I don't like he's like, this woman ran me from one side of the room to the other. She has my number dialed. I can't do this anymore. And that's where the quote from his superior was, think of your country. Like, think of your country while you're doing it, essentially, which is actually a phrase that is kind of used in one way or another, especially through Sean Connery and some of Roger Moore.
Yeah.
So it's very much that kind of ethos, like, you know, all this stuff that we do, all these gunfights, all this sleeping around and sexing with women and the drinking, I have to do it for my country. I wish I'd go home and color in my coloring book, watch ducks, but fuck,
Just
I
go
gotta
to
do
bed.
This. Yes,
At this point,
that's where that, like, this whole go to sleep, brush my teeth, wash my hair. That's where this whole, like, character comes from. It's based, obviously it's based off Ian Fleming's novel, but actually Roald Dahl actually lived the life, and he did contribute to some of the story as well. But that's where that kind of thing fits in there. So it was
because James Bond is the everyman's man. He's super charming. He is very witty, very intelligent, athletic, just cool. James Bond is the definition of cool, I should say.
yes.
When you think
Agreed.
of cool as a man, you think of James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
But think about how many generations James Bond has covered now. Why do you think that James Bond has been such a staple of the male psyche for this long? Why has it had so much staying power?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know if there is an answer to it, but I can tell you it's the staying power. I don't know, from like the alpha male culture, or the, whatever you call it. I don't know if it stems from there as much as the first movies that came out they're damn good. They were written well. They still hold up. And like, we're gonna watch some of them, but like, I'm gonna tell you right now, we don't even need to do the episode.
Okay, well, great. Months done.
But like, certain parts of it don't. But like the acting, the special effects, the movie effects they did back then, for some of these movies, not all, but some of these movies were very well done. And the Bond women, like, his relationships, it's his philandering. But overall, these are just good movies.
Yeah.
And, like, they're, for the most part, there are some not so good ones in there, but, they're well made. I mean, they tell a story. From Russia with Love is probably the most, like, epic, I think, of all of the Sean Connery ones. That one, in Thunderball. And then you get the characters in there, like Goldfinger, like the villains that you have, like Oddjob, Blofeld in the first couple.
And there's a lot of tongue in cheek to humor that guys do enjoy. And again, I have not seen as many Bond movies over my time. I've seen the ones that I've seen I've liked, but there's always it seems like there's a stereotypical antagonist woman in the film, or a partner in crime.
Femme fatale. There's a partner in crime, but there's always a woman who's out to get him.
Right, and she always has like a seductive name, like I just watched Goldeneye, it's like, or on a top, and it's
on a top. Yes.
The tongue in cheek stuff with that is hilarious. There's like a good level of comedy. Now watching these movies now as an adult, I'm like, oh man, they're actually funnier. They don't take themselves too seriously. And I feel like sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle in modern times, because these movies can come off as, they are a different day and age, some of them. They can come off as misogynistic. They can come off as the alpha male, what the definition of cool is. And sometimes...
it's I think one of the reasons that we're getting at, though, is like, these are, like you just said, like these are like snapshots in an era of what is cool. You see what was in the 60s, and spoiler alert, it's not too enlightening. You see what was going on in the 70s, and things kind of loosen up a bit. There's a bit more representation from other actors. and different cultures, which is always fun when they're not completely shitting on a culture unintentionally. But then the 80s about like technology, the music, the sound effects. You get into the 90s and it's like the topical, well, like it's all
Like Cold
informed as
War
well.
is
Like,
always a thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Cold War was going on from Dr. No all the way up until Goldeneye.
And
Essentially.
realistically, probably still kind of dealing with the after effects of that too.
Yes, it's all informed loosely by what was going on in the world at the time. So they're very topical with certain things that are going on. What the zeitgeist is, or what's scary right now. Like,
and that's a good point too, because I mean, people do love spy movies. That's always been a thing. Look at how well the Mission Impossible movies have done. Which I grew up watching the Mission Impossible movies over James Bond.
Well, those are good movies too.
Yeah, and maybe one month we'll do those. They get kind of convoluted, and I noticed that with the James Bond. Like, there's a lot of moving parts. I don't think that the plot's like too complicated to get involved with, but it's a movie you have to pay attention to because you can get lost real quick with all the moving characters. Mission Impossible to me is more out there. Some of the technologies kind of like, you can rub your eyes against, but I feel like James Bond may be a little bit more grounded in reality.
I would say that the more recent ones are essentially the Christopher Nolan era of James Bond. Like what he did to the Dark Knight, for the most part, that's what the Daniel Craig series was about, all 5 movies. And you got to explore his character a lot, and it was a much more real character. It was a lot more like sad. There's a lot of
they did a lot of different nuances into it.
Yeah, Skyfall, like M dies, Judi Dench, her character gets killed off.
And doesn't he die at the end of the series?
He does. He dies in No Time to Die.
Which I want to bring up is like there are staples to every James Bond. Now, each person that played James Bond developed the character in their own way, but James Bond itself is, again, a cool alpha male. He always wears a suit. He's always driving a beautiful sports car for the most part.
I don't know if I would say he's always wearing a suit. I would say he wears a suit in every movie.
Yes. Yeah, he's always dressed with class for the most part, unless he's on a mission trying to disguise himself as the enemy or whatever. He's always drinking like a martini, something classy. He's always got a quick wit about him. He never dies in the movies. That is a staple of James Bond. So I know that there was a lot of fan backlash when they did that with Daniel Craig's version of the movie. He never marries. He's never in a long-term relationship. And I get that was going back to your point with Roald Dahl and his involvement in the creation of James Bond. So there's some staples to Bond that you're always going to find in each movie. Shake and not stir every time.
I mean, that's how I have my martinis, honestly.
Yeah, you know why he does that, right?
Vodka martini, why?
So I found out it's actually a very clever written plot point. I'm sure I'll bring it up in the movies that we watch. But James Bond always gets his drink shaken, not stirred, because there's less alcohol, so he can stay sharper throughout his adventures. But that's why he always gets it shaken. And it became like a plot point in every movie. But it is an actual chemical thing where the alcohol gets watered down by all the ice.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I like that little details in there that you wouldn't, no one would pick up on unless they're really thinking about it. But when you think about it, it's like, oh, it makes sense. When you stir it, you got more of an alcoholic content. You can get drunk quicker.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. I want you to see if you can guess what IMDb says the top 10 are.
The top 10?
Top 10, yeah. And this is based on IMDb rankings. We use IMDb rankings on the show all the time. That is our go-to source. We don't really like Rotten Tomatoes. Ranking movies, obviously, it's a subjective thing. Like, if you like something, you like something. But we like to do it so we can kind of keep tabs on how well we really like something versus how much we actually hated something. But we used IMDb here, and I'm going to see if you can guess the top 10.
Top 10, I mean, there's going to be some Sean Connery in the top 10. There's going to be Daniel Craig in the top 10. There will be one Roger Moore, and there will be one Pierce Brosnan.
Okay. There's definitely probably some recency bias here.
I'm going to say I already know that one of the top ones is probably going to be Casino Royale. I'm going to put Casino Royale at number
Do you want me to tell you as you guess them?
Yeah, just go ahead. Yes.
Casino Royale is number 1 overall.
Okay, that's what I thought. It is probably one of my favorite James Bond movies, just because it is the most realistic, grounded, and it's some of the best acting. One of the best villains, I think. It reintroduced and refreshed James Bond.
It's very tense. It's very tense.
Oh, very tense. But it's done really well. The set design is done really well. The locations are done really well. So that was going to be my number 1 or number 2, but I was leaning more towards number 1, so that's good. So I think number 2, off the top of my head, I don't know if it's another Daniel Craig. I want to guess that it's probably No Time to Die. If it is not No Time to Die, I would say it's probably going to be a Sean Connery, and I would probably say Goldfinger.
Okay. So I will tell you this. Goldfinger comes in at number 3, okay, and No Time to Die comes in at 4.
Okay. So, I wonder if Skyfall is number 2.
Skyfall is number 2.
Okay, cool. That was going to be my second guess.
So now you're down to 5 through 10, but go ahead.
That's fair. I don't think Goldfinger, if you know James Bond, I don't think Goldfinger, if you've watched all of them, would be there. I really don't. Goldfinger is my least favorite out of Sean Connery stuff because it's overplayed, because it's the most well-known. And that's not me being a hipster. It's just not as good as something like From Russia with Love or Dr. No, the original. But going through some more, I'm going to say number 5, I would say number 5 or 6 is going to be GoldenEye.
6 is GoldenEye, yeah. Which will be on the lookout next week. We are reviewing GoldenEye to see if it actually does hold that spot. A little plug there.
A little shameless plug. I'm going to say, I'm probably wrong, but I think Dr. No would be number 5.
It is not Dr. No. Dr. No checks in at number 7.
Okay.
Right behind GoldenEye.
There you go. I really hope it's not Live and Let Die.
It is not Live and Let Die.
Thank you, God.
Live and Let Die did not make the top 10.
Yeah, it shouldn't. You're not going to see any Roger Moore on there, I hope. Ow. Is it Spectre?
It's not Spectre.
Good. Oof.
You mentioned this movie earlier.
Thunderball?
Not Thunderball. But I will say Thunderball comes in at number 9. And Spectre does come in at number 10. So you got 9 and 10. So Thunderball at number 9, Spectre at 10. So you got number 7. So you just need 5 and 8.
I wonder if On Her Majesty's Secret Service is up there.
It is not.
That's a shame. I know that Diamonds Are Forever has a cult following.
It does. It hasn't bled over into IMDb yet, though.
Good.
I will tell you, number 5 is Sean Connery, and number 8 is Roger Moore.
Oh. From Russia with Love.
Yep. Number 5.
Okay. But if it's not Live and Let Die, the only ones I can think for Roger Moore would be Man with a Golden Gun or Moonraker.
Neither one of those.
Really?
Mm-mm.
If you tell me it's Octopussy, I'm going to throw up.
It's not Octopussy either. To give you a fair credit, it's the meta score of this movie is 55. It is I think the lowest in the top 10, which is a different score altogether. So I don't know how IMDb ended up with this one being so high.
The Spy Who Loved Me?
It is The Spy Who Loved Me.
Why? That's such a bad movie.
Yeah, checks in at number 8 with a 7.0 overall rating.
What?
Yeah, and Spectre got a 6.8.
It's because of the underwater car.
I guess. The Metascore, again, is 55. So the Metascore is the lowest in the top 10. But that's it. And to review, you got Casino Royale, Skyfall, Goldfinger, No Time to Die, From Russia with Love, GoldenEye, Dr. No, The Spy Who Loved Me, Thunderball, and Spectre to finish out the top 10.
That's what I thought they would be commercially speaking.
Yeah. What would be your like if you had to do a top 5? What would be your top 5 James Bond films?
Top 5,
and not just your personal favorites, but five James Bond films you think everyone should watch.
Okay.
Let's just say I'm going in brand new. I've never seen a James Bond movie. Pick 5 for me.
In no particular order: Tomorrow Never Dies, From Russia with Love, Casino Royale. So that's 3. I would probably also say Thunderball. Man, this is tough. The last spot is tough. I'm torn between Dr. No, You Only Live Twice, and Goldeneye.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of James Bond films, but I have seen Casino Royale, and I've seen Goldeneye multiple times. Always liked Goldeneye. I won't get into that because, like, we're talking about it next week, so I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. But I will say, I do. Casino Royale may be one of the best movies of the mid 2000s that I've like. I mean, it's up there as I think everyone can enjoy that.
One of the best movies ever, I would say, ever made, is my opinion.
It's so good. And for anybody getting into James Bond and doesn't want to go into like kind of the hokiness, or even if they don't really want to see the alpha male quality of the movies themselves, Casino Royale really strikes that middle balance, I believe.
It's just an entertaining movie.
Yeah.
All the ones that I'm recommending are, in general, entertaining movies. There might be a little hint of this or that, especially with Sean Connery.
There's got to be. It's James Bond, what you're getting into, like
especially in the 60s.
And that's why we're not going to cover that stuff as much this month. I know we talk about it on this show a lot, but we're talking James Bond, guys. Like, you know, there's going to be a lot of sex, a lot of womanizing, a lot of misogynistic characteristics.
No passing of the Bechdel test.
Yeah, the Bechdel test did not pass in any of these. Maybe we'll talk about it if they actually did or not, but it's just like there's just no point in wasting our time, is what we're saying.
Well, I guess what I'm going to go for then, to round things out, is probably going to be it's going to have to be Goldeneye.
Yeah.
I think it's a good representation of the best James Bonds. We've got Tomorrow Never Dies, Pierce Brosnan. We've got Casino Royale. That's Daniel Craig. We've got From Russia with Love and Thunderball. And we finished, which are both Sean Connery, finishing off with Pierce Brosnan. So those are the ones I think that you should watch if you've never watched James Bond, you're looking to get into it. I think those are great ones. There are other good ones. Again, Timothy Dalton has some really good moments in some of his movies. People hate him, but he is, I think, by far and away much better than Sir Roger Moore.
This is a great time, too, if you're driving, listening to this podcast, to just go ahead and pull out your phone and start taking notes so that you can remember to watch these later. Take your eyes off the road right now, and just put that in your phone.
Yes, and like also while doing that, like accidentally exit out of your directions so they're not going anymore, so you don't know where you're going and you're about to miss an exit. That's going to be good. So do that. It'll give you. It's a really dynamic moment to find yourself in.
We don't even have it. We're not covered by insurance on this podcast, I don't believe. So
right, no, we wouldn't. No, we don't need insurance.
Yeah. So, well, and now it's time for the main event question. The question that is the name of this episode is, who is the best James Bond? And instead of just answering that question, I want you to kind of rank them for me. I've got a list of the public opinion, so I'm going to judge your list according to what the public thinks. But go ahead, start with 6. We're not going to count David Niven because I don't think he was in a full James Bond movie. But anyway,
he's stricken. Number 6 is Roger Moore. Done. No contest. Too soft of a James Bond. I don't find him particularly dynamic in the role. I believe him as a secret agent. I don't believe him as James Bond. James Bond is a little bit beyond a secret agent. And his movies he has a couple of good movies, like Live and Let Die, Moonraker. And by good, I mean they're fun.
And a lot of people hate Moonraker too, by the way.
Moonraker is a very, very bad movie. It is a bad James Bond movie. 1979. And it shows every bit of it. Just saying. But for the most part, when we stack him up against everybody else, it's not a contest. From there, I would put George Lazenby 5th. he only had one showing, and I don't think he was the best representation. But I'd rather watch that movie on Her Majesty's Secret Service than most any of the Sir Roger Moores. Done.
There you go.
Yes. From there, I would say Timothy Dalton is fourth. He has a couple of good movies. He's only in two: The Living Daylights, and License to Kill. The Living Daylights is a fun movie. License to Kill, though, talk about topical, because it's like going over like the drug trade and shit like that, and it's very, very 1989, early 90s kind of feel to it. After that, I'm going to shake things up. Actually, this is unpopular. I'm gonna put Daniel Craig third.
Okay.
He's a great James Bond. He's arguably one of the best. But I have a nostalgia. I'm biased towards nostalgia, which is why I'm going to put Pierce Brosnan second.
The anti voice that we preach on this show.
It is, but I can't help it because like a lot of these movies, Quantum of Solace is an abysmal movie, and that's the Daniel Craig movie. He didn't have any control over that. That movie is hard to follow, and it's not a good movie.
It was very hard to follow. I remember watching that after Casino Royale,
Yes.
and I was purely and utterly disappointed.
Very not good. Did not like. I will say Spectre, I think, is overrated. But those two aside, Casino Royale, Skyfall, and No Time to Die, great movies. But I mean, like you're going up against Pierce Brosnan, who I think is more of a quintessential James Bond. It's not the remake of James Bond. That was the last hurrah of like the style of James Bond that we saw, where he's human for sure, but we're not getting real with it, and it hits more of that fine line between real and fantastical really well. So it does a good job of summing up the last 30 years.
People don't appreciate Pierce Brosnan for revitalizing the James Bond series because it was dead in the water after Timothy Dalton, and Brosnan comes along and makes it very popular with GoldenEye. And we even talk about the video game, and that led the way for Daniel Craig. So Daniel Craig could not walk unless Pierce Brosnan crawled.
That is a very good way to put it, and I would agree with that. I think that you can't put Pierce Brosnan lower than that because think about it like this. The movies James Bond go 1962, 1963, 1964, 1965, consecutive releases 3 years in a row, 1967, 1969, 1971, 1973, 1974, 1977. So that's the biggest gap we've seen so far is 3 years. 1979, 1981, 1983, and 1983 again, which we'll have to talk to about another time, which is Octopus, the End Never Say Never Again, which was it's a very funny story. 1985, 1987, 1989, and then 1995, a 6-year gap. So Pierce Brosnan coming in with GoldenEye was a very fresh take on what James Bond, was. It's still very much hitting on the same things that we did with Sean Connery at the helm in terms of like the style, the feel, the swagger of James Bond, but also the fantastical elements of Roger Moore with some of the topicalness of Timothy Dalton. And I do think that, you kind of reach the pinnacle in Die Another Day, and that is a very bad movie. It is not my favorite movie by any means, but he's launched into the stratosphere because, I mean, from there, it goes 1995, 1997, 1999, 2002. So about a 4-year gap where I think Pierce Brosnan was doing other movies. And then 2006. So about the longest it goes is 4 years in between. And then it goes 2006, 2008, 2012, 2015, 2021. But I think, 2021 was a lot of that was COVID stuff. So we can't really count that.
Yeah.
My point is that like the longer the gap between these movies, by the way, we're not going to see another James Bond movie probably until the end of the 2020s, if we're lucky, if they can figure out who it is. Idris Elba.
I don't see how it could be anybody but. I know.
I don't think anybody else could carry that weight like he could.
Oh, he's perfect for it. I think
he's at the right age now. He's in his, his 50s. Like, he's at the
cool.
right age. He's very cool. He's he's got the British thing. I believe him. I don't know. I just think he'd be good. I don't know if he wants that smoke in his life, though. At a certain point, why would you want to do James Bond if you're that? It's a monumental undertaking to do James Bond at any age, especially with, the stunts and the time and like the contract. Like, it's crazy. But my point here, Pierce Brosnan picks us up into the 2000s, into the turn of the century. So like you said, Pierce Brosnan walks so Daniel Craig could run. But number one will always have to be Sean Connery. He is the original. He is the best.
Well, and 4 of his movies are in the top 10 IMDb rated James Bond movies.
Yeah.
Like, that says
They
enough
might not
right
be the top rated, but they are, in my mind, some of the most rewatchable, some of the best cinematography. From Russia with Love, again, if you just want to see a good, that one and Thunderball, if you just want to watch a good old movie with some good shots, some good cinematography in it, it's not like art house, but it's fun to watch. It's pleasing to watch. Highly recommend those movies.
It's funny because we were like looking at the news too as we're doing this, and like they're already preparing the script and the revival of James Bond. So we're doing this month at the perfect time. But, it'll be interesting to see who they pick down the road and where we find them in this ranking.
If it's Tom Holland, I will not watch.
There's no way. There's no way they can pick Tom Holland. He is not James
Bond. It doesn't
Bond.
work.
Fine actor, fine guy, but he's just not James Bond.
No. And from what I've heard, I thought he was petitioning for it. And I'm like, the fact that you are doing that makes me want you less. James Bond, you are very much like who you are as a person is kind of like that goes into all acting performances. And if you want it, that is way too beta, not alpha. It's got to come to James. It's got to come to that actor in my mind. I know that's very antiquated, but I don't care. I will not watch a Tom Holland.
I think Bond is going to be a lot younger in this new series, from my understanding. So it will be interesting to see what they do. But yeah, Tom Holland's not it. But I know Anthony Boyle is the leading bet, I think, right now to be James Bond.
Well, he's Irish, so.
Right. But that's who a lot of people think will end up being James Bond.
I don't think so, my friend. I'm sorry.
Well, in the meantime, you guys can catch us next week as we start reviewing some of these James Bond movies that Kyle mentioned today. We're going to start with GoldenEye, as we mentioned, I think 4,000 times on this episode. We'll have Andrew back in, I'm going to say studio because that sounds so sexy. We're going to have Andrew back in studio with us next week as we review GoldenEye. In the meantime, check us out on Instagram and TikTok. Let us know what you'd like to see in the future. What's your favorite James Bond? What's your favorite James Bond movie? We'll catch you next week for GoldenEye.